Welcome to the Disrupted Podcast. I'm your host, the Dr. Matteo Franco. I always say we're one disruption, one interaction away from a whole different experience of this thing called life, whether we're stuck, whether we're happy with where we're at and just looking for more. We're always just one interaction, one disruption, one choice away from a whole different experience of this thing called life. If you guys are listening to this, make sure you go to the Matteo Franco DC on YouTube and like and subscribe. Let's get to it. Welcome to another one here on the Matteo Franco DC channel. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're listening to the Disrupted Podcast, go ahead and follow, subscribe. And if you have a friend or someone that would benefit from it, go ahead and just share that with them. We're going to dive into today's episode, which I'm super stoked for. It is, are you the example or warning for health in your family? This is probably one of the most important topics. You're going to hear me talk about health a lot. They say a man or woman without their health has one wish. A man or woman with their health has a million wishes, right? So our health is so important. And so in my family, I'll share a little bit of story, and then I'll ask some questions so we can get us thinking about our health, what type of example we're setting, and what type of life we're living. Are we living to the quality of life that we want? And also that's going to benefit us years down the road versus us saying like, yeah, we're going to be healthy now, but down the road, then this is going to happen. And we're not really preparing or setting up for that. So we'll dive all the way into that. So in my family, I had a lot of blue collar grandparents. My mom's one of 11, so a lot of uncles and aunts in my family. And one of the things that I saw in our family was our family would spend the majority of their time accumulating wealth and neglecting their health, right? And then at the end, they try to buy their health back, and that didn't work out so well, right? So the three major assets, again, in life are health, wealth, and time. Most people in America's model, we neglect our health and then we try to buy it back at the very end, right? And that model is broken. It's proven not to work. How do we know that? We're building more and more hospitals every single day. Do we go to the hospitals for us to stay healthy? No. So why are we building more? It's because we're getting sicker as a society. The model that we're in, the system that we're in is broken. And that's what we work very hard to change, and that starts one life at a time. And that's why the Disrupted Podcast is there, one disruption away from a whole different life. And this channel is the Matteo Franco DC channel is for a healthy, happy lifestyle. So for that model, so for us, what I've changed for me and my family is we're going to do the opposite. We're going to focus on our health. We're going to be very proactive in our health, and then also work to accumulate wealth over time so we can have the freedom to be where we want, with who we want, when we want, right? But we're constantly pursuing health. It's not something that just flips on and on one day. And so that's the model that we've transitioned into for us in our family. We're not going to live a reactive care a healthcare system, right? Where we wait until we have a problem and then we try to be healthy, right? And so these are great examples. If you have like a heart attack, the most common number 1 and 2 causes of death are heart disease and cancer, right? If you have a heart attack, if you have cancer, it's probably a good idea to eat healthy, right? It's probably a good idea to exercise. It's probably a good idea to get adjusted. It's probably a good idea to meditate, pray. It's probably a good idea to have good social health, good friends, good family around you, right? It doesn't make sense to wait until we have the big problem show up for us to make smart or proactive or daily health choices that are going to serve us. And so the saying you'll hear me say a lot is adding life to our years, and also in hope that we add years to our life. So adding life to our years, and in hope adding years to our life. We really don't know how long we're going to live. I've seen people, right, very healthy, the appearance of health, right? And we'll get into this topic here a little bit later, the appearance of health, and then they're gone like in a month, right? We've seen some different things. I've seen lots of just crazy things in life. So for us, it's going to be action-packed, making sure we live the quality of life that we want today. And that's going to be the focus, as well as making good health choices so that we can set ourselves up to have that quality of life for as long as we live. They say life expectancy is getting longer. And I say, there's a key word hidden in there. It's expectancy. Or existence is what I call it, is we see people existing longer, but we see people living less and less. And so there's a vast difference between existing and living from my perspective and all the patients I get to see, right? And all the data that we have of why people are coming in to take action in their health. We see people from infants all the way up to their later years in life too. So warning or example in our health. So first question is,
Are you waiting until symptoms show up to make good health choices? Are you waiting for a catastrophic event before you decide to make good health choices? That is the question. If you are doing that, you are the warning for health in your family. The example is going to be proactive, right? And that model just doesn't work, right? It's also another way that we can look at this. Another warning sign, if you're the warning in your family, is going to be if you are chasing symptoms. If you're constantly chasing symptoms, you are a warning for health or disease in your family, right? Versus chasing function or root cause solutions, right? So is it a good idea to wait until you're broke, your bank account hits zero to decide to learn how to make money or try to learn how to manage money? We all should be shaking our heads no, right? Is it a good idea to put on 300 pounds before we decide to learn how to eat healthy, learn how to exercise properly? We should all be shaking our heads no, right? Those are warning signs. If you're chasing symptoms, right? And this is the American model, chasing symptoms. It's the same question we ask when patients come into our practice, right? So far, we'll use Miss Susie as our example patient. So far, Miss Susie, has everything you've tried, the treatments, the therapies, all the different doctors you've been to, has it been focused on chasing your symptoms? And if the answer is yes, then I always say this is what concerns me for you. And it truly does, because I've seen this in my family. I've seen people do this too many times. That is what concerns me, because if you're coming into my practice and you're expecting me to chase your symptoms, which has been done every other place and has been unsuccessful, what is the definition of doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome? It is the definition of insanity, right? There's a difference between cause and effect. Great example of this is a heart attack, right? If you've ever, if you had someone go into a hospital, they have a heart attack, and they're like, "Doc, I've got terrible chest and arm pain." And the doc's like, we've got to get them on a muscle relaxer and we've got to start massaging their chest and arm. We would laugh at that and say, that's the craziest thing. They're clearly having a heart attack, right? Where the dysfunction isn't always where the symptom is, right? And that's what we need to understand in health in our country if we want to be a healthier country, right? So that's why it's a warning sign if you're chasing symptoms, right? So then the follow-up question, or the contrast to that of, are you the example in that, would be, what functional objective test are you doing to ensure that your body's functioning at its best each and every year? I'm pausing for a second here to let us just think a little bit of functional test, right? Pain is not a functional test. That is feeling. So our spinal cord, our spinal nerves, the system, the nervous system that controls and coordinates every cell, muscle, tissue, and organ, only 15%, 15% is based off of what we feel. That means the other approximately 85% is based off of function, things that we do not feel, right? And symptoms are usually the last things that show up and the first things that leave, right? So in America, about 100%, almost all of us base our health purely off that 15%, which is crazy when you think about it just from a numbers perspective, right? So what functional test are we doing? And remembering that these functional tests are also snapshots, so they should be reoccurring functional tests. So a great example, my favorite one, is x-rays, because it's an energy reading, right? We're looking at the health of the spine, the system that controls and coordinates. It's very fundamental. That's why I love the nervous system in chiropractic. It's people come in, I always say, if there's a subluxation, if there's nerve damage, if there's nerve interference, a disconnect between your brain and your body, we're going to remove that. No matter what symptoms you have going on, it's going to benefit your body that we remove nerve interference. And people heal from all sorts of different things because of that, right? If we can help with that, if there's misalignment, subluxations causing destruction to your joints and nerves, we're going to be able to help with that, right? But we're doing a functional check. The x-rays don't tell me how someone feels, right? That's why I love it. Range of motion doesn't tell me how someone feels, right? I get to see how they move. It's a functional test. And then we do progress checkups on that. It's not just see that, right? We're seeing that they're functioning better. Their body's moving from a degenerative state to a regenerative state. It's regenerating faster than it's degenerating. That's why we see discs regenerate all the time in our practice, right? It's because your body's designed to regenerate. Your 37.2 trillion cells approximately that's held together every single day, 37.2 trillion cells. We want to talk about a miracle. Holy cow, right? And that's what makes up us. So any doctor that says they know exactly what's going on with the human body is completely crazy, right? It's mind-blowing still how that works. But there are common laws or principles that do apply to us, right? So health isn't cookie cutter, it's customizable. But every single human being, right, the brain controls every function. The spinal cord, there's never been a successful spinal cord transplant. If that is functioning properly, it's going to help that person live a higher quality of life every single time. And that's why we love what we do. So an x-ray is a great example. Blood panel is a great example, right? And remember, these are snapshots in time. So if we do a blood panel, let's say I did a blood panel 10 years ago, we shouldn't be making necessarily the same choices based off that 10-year ago blood panel, right? We should be updating that over and over again. It's just like chiropractors that do x-rays, or anyone that does x-rays, they're basing your health decision off of a snapshot in x-ray 10 years ago. That doesn't make sense. And for our practice, we update those every 12 months at minimum, right? Because I do that for myself. I want to know the exercises that I'm doing. I want to know that the diet, I want to know the foods that I'm putting in there. I want to know my thoughts, right? All of those things is also with the adjustment. Now we have things like PMF therapy that go with that, dental roll, the cervical orthotic, different things that can also help us accelerate that regenerative process. I want to know what I'm doing each year is accelerating my regenerative process, that things aren't getting worse, but they're also improving. And so coming back to the warning or example, that is a proactive model. That is a functional check. So I do those every year. So having a functional check to know that your body is healing and it's regenerating faster than it's degenerating is something that we want to build into our health disciplines, our health choices, to ensure that we continue to live the quality of life that we desire. So if you're following that again, reactive care model versus proactive care model. If you're waiting till the big fallout happens, you're a warning. If you're being proactive in your health, you're going to be an example of health. If you're chasing symptoms, that's a warning sign. You're the warning for health in your family because that model is broken. It's proven, look around, it doesn't work. Or functional tests versus, right, the example, which is doing functional tests to ensure that your body's functioning at its best. As it's functioning at its best, it's also going to feel at its best. So those are two ways. The other one, we're going to talk about finances for it, is another strong sign. I've seen this now looking at hundreds of thousands of patients, is a strong sign of the warning of health in their family versus the example are people that base their health decisions based off of insurance coverage, health insurance. They let health insurance dictate their health choices. I say that again. They let their health insurance dictate their health choices, the quality of care that they get, right? Their health insurance dictate it, and they're not basing it off of functional tests. They're not their cookie cutter approach. And again, if health insurance was really solving the problems, right, they would be out of business. If they were making us healthy, that's why I call it catastrophic or emergency insurance. Right? It's not designed for health. It's designed for the big problems, right? And it's great for that. Outside of that, it's not health insurance, right? That's why if you've ever read the policy, it's massive. I just received a policy the other day, and it was over 50 pages. Do you think those 50 pages were all the ways that they're going to pay to keep you healthy? No, they're all the ways for them to get out of payment because it comes down to profits, right? They make their profits by you paying your premiums and them finding ways not to pay out. And so with that being said, the same question that I ask for the symptoms is the same question I ask our patients for health insurance. If they come in and they say that this is what they've tried, and they only want to do what their health insurance covers, I ask them very respectfully, Miss Susie, our example patient again. Susie, if there's a real Susie listening to this, it's not you. It's okay. Miss Susie, our example patient. I say, Miss Susie, I got a question for you. Up until this point, has everything that you've tried for your health to solve this problem that you're coming into my practice for so far, has that been covered by your health insurance aside from a deductible, copay, or coinsurance? And if the answer is yes, you're going to hear my phrase again. That's what concerns me. Why does that concern me? Because if we continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, that is the definition of insanity, right? Expecting to do only health insurance covered services, expecting that to solve our problems when it hasn't worked because it's designed for symptomatic care, right? If you actually read the policies and understand it, right? It's designed for symptomatic care, not healthcare. They're not doing functional tests. They're not paying for things to keep you healthy, right? Why would they do that? That would put them out of business, right? This is like, and then it comes back to incentives again. When you go to your job, right, they have bonuses, they have incentives. How do they do that? They do it via trips, money, specifically money is the most common one, a pay raise, bonuses. How do health insurance companies get bonuses or incentivize? It's by holding on to as much cash as possible, you paying a premium, them not paying out, right? So if you're letting health insurance dictate the quality of care that you get and which healthcare providers that you work with, another warning sign. You're the warning for health in your family. The example, which I'll tell you the best health insurance, is cash, HSA, FSAs, where you can choose where to go. If you had today, we hope to God that nothing ever happens, but let's say we have an emergency. Let's say that we have a heart attack, we need, or cancer, or an emergency happen, right? We need, let's just say like a kidney transplant. Would you want to go to the best kidney doctor in the world, or would you just want to go to the one that your insurance is going to select for you, right? If you had the choice and money wasn't an obstacle, which one would you go to? The best in the world, right? That's why it's vitally important that there is a plan and there are ways to accumulate wealth to make sure you always get the best healthcare. And for me, that's what we do for our family, is we're always just going to go to the best, right? It's worth it. It's the number one asset that we have in life is our health, our ability to live the quality of life that we want, allow us to invest our time and resources in things that we're capable of doing. If you've ever seen someone that does not have their health, right, they can't do the things that everyone else does. And so that's why that's vitally important. There's ways that you can do that. Assets, cash flow. There's lots of different ways that you can accumulate cash or assets where you have coverage if those things happen, right? And so you're going to go to the best. And that should be all of it, right? If you're going to a massage therapist, if you're going to a physical therapist, if you're going to a chiropractor, if you're going to whoever for your health, an example would be getting the best, right? No matter what that looks like, it's getting the best. You're not letting someone else dictate the life that you get to live. So just to recap that. So if you are a reactive care, if you're just waiting until a problem shows up and reacting to it, you're a warning for that, right? And especially if you're taking medications, drugs, injection for that, because that just masks the symptoms, right? That's one thing we know about drugs. They mask the symptoms and they have harmful effects. If drugs were the cause of the problem, right, we'd be one of the healthiest countries. And if it was always about how we felt, right, this is the other one. We'll come back to that actually in symptoms. I'll come to that one next. But again, drugs are going to mask the problem. Drugs, injections, or surgery. If that was working, we'd be one of the healthiest countries, but we keep building more hospitals. So just look around, right? So that's a warning sign. If you're reactive versus proactive, you're constantly pursuing health, doing things that are great health choices, raising your adaptive healing potential of your body, helping your body adapt to physical, chemical, and emotional stress at a higher rate, and helping the body's recognition of itself versus the environment. So that's going to be health. Second thing is symptoms versus function, right? And so chasing symptoms, right? I always use this example for pain as the number one thing that I'll like share with people is like, hey, if we all took from day one, we were all hooked up to morphine pumps, would we be the healthiest country in the world? Everyone laughs and says, no, we wouldn't, right? We'd all feel great, be one heck of a party, right? So the absence of pain does not mean the presence of health. So biggest thing for us is symptoms. If we're chasing symptoms, we're chasing the effect, not the cause. Going to functional tests, finding the dysfunctions, or making sure that we're continuing to improve our function of our whole body, right? That's going to allow us to function at our best. When we function at our best, we're going to feel at our best. That's when optimal health is achieved. So that's the second one. Warning. So again, going back, your warning if it's reactive, warning if it's symptomatic based. You're the example if you're proactive in your health and you're chasing function and constantly improving your function. The third one is who dictates your health. If you're letting health insurance, other people dictate your health, not based off of functional tests, based off custom to you, what you have going on, what you're looking to solve, how your body functions, that is a warning sign. Versus the example in this case is where you're making the best health decisions for you based off of customized tests, based off specific to you. You're just going to the best doctors that you believe are going to help you get the best results. So that will sum up our first episode of Are You the Warning or Example of Health in Your Family? For more resources, you can go to our Life Without Fear chiropractic page. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to bring more guests onto the Disrupted podcast as well. Health will be a core topic that we talk about, as well as other topics too. But this is fundamental. If we can understand this, we can change health generationally. and that changes our whole world. That's why I love talking about it. I love sharing with people. I love breaking it down. The same way it was broken down for me, that changed my perspective, right? I was in pre-med, and then I 180'd out into natural health or chiropractic because I was going to Riley Hospital in Indianapolis. I'm like, how do we have so many sick kids? And what they were teaching me at school is no matter what the patient came in with, right, I would spit a Latin word back out at them, and then I would just give them drugs, medications, injections, or surgery. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. And the fact that we're building more hospitals, how is this called healthcare, right? To me, that's catastrophic or emergency care. And I 180'd out because that didn't make sense to me. I ended up in chiropractic, and here we are, right? So that changed my life, and that's why I'll continue to share the message for the people that want to receive it, that are ready to take control of their health and want what we have. We're going to continue to spread the message and help people heal from the inside out, from above down, inside out, the way it was intended, the way that we're designed. And I'm super excited to see what health results you get. I will see you all on the next episode. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Awesome. If you're listening to this, that means you completed this episode. If you have a friend or someone that you're thinking of currently, please go ahead and just share this episode with them or connect them to our channel so they know where we're at, whether it's on podcast or the video format. Connect them with our channel. This may be the disruption they need to disrupt them out of an undesigned life into a well-designed life filled with meaning, purpose, and passion. I will see you all in the next episode.